Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so, well, I got a therapy session. Ain't got nothing to do with myself. Just a topic going on in the world of hip hop. Shout out to hip hop, of course. Just had our 50th anniversary of the culture 2 days ago, and a lot of celebrating, and of course a lot of updated hip hop stuff going on at the same time. RICO cases all over the country, concerts getting shot up, that kind of thing. And that concert is a concert we talked about, I believe. Lil Durk, when we first heard that they were scheduling Lil Durk to perform in Chicago at the United Center, this was like probably a year ago. We had a conversation on this channel about how that could not necessarily be the greatest idea, given where Chicago is with the drill culture and the drill scene, and just the specifics of what Durk, his character, who he is, has been in a lot of the stories that have come along out of that city, and a lot of the different things that goes on out there. It's pointed at him just in general, and he welcomes that in his music. He welcomes that, but it is what it is. And so, at this point, it's like, you really gonna schedule a huge performance where you're going to gather the whole city in one spot to see this big star, when y'all know the history of this situation? It's not wise. It's just not wise. You're asking for it in this era. Now, if it's 10 years from now, when things have calmed down, or if the situation is a little different, where you're not bringing it to the United Center, where the entire dang city and parts in other states can all come to one centered location, you know what I'm saying? It's like they were naive as to think that only who they want to show up was gonna get tickets. Nah, not when Durk is performing. No. And that's the thing. It's like Durk's situation, it seems, as a fan from afar, somebody who watches, what's going on there from afar, his situation looks like, when you bring him to the city, you are connecting every hood, all the hoods. People who want to be next to one another and people who don't. People who are interested in what he got going on, and people who are interested in seeing people they ain't seen in a long time. That kind of thing. And hopefully reuniting with them to start a problem, create a problem, or continue it. I just know better. I know better. The volatility of the circumstances there, and coupled with the specifics of that, just told me that whoever scheduled that concert was either naive as to this happening, or was going to allow it to happen. And now that we're here, something did happen. Or they said that there were shots let off around the area of the United Center, even though there were people inside the United Center. Obviously, the story is people started shooting inside the United Center, and it started the panic that could have been a lot worse than it was. Thank goodness it wasn't a trampling stampede situation, but shots were let off. I don't know if anyone was hit. They didn't tell us. Honestly, there was no information released on where the shooting was, because they want to make sure we know it could have not been inside the United Center. So who knows? The point is, there's footage of people running inside the United Center trying to get out, cops telling them to leave, while holding handguns, looking around in the United Center for an active shooter. And that was what was released to us at the same time, that there was an active shooter at the Durk concert. So, you know what I mean? It's one of those situations where you can clearly see that they're trying to do some damage control. But my thing is this should have never been booked. This is not the concert to book. Not this year, not that particular artist. Absolutely not. Not in that city. No. You can have him go different places. And I saw his post at the end of the night. He said, "Don't believe the hype. We're bigger than big." And it's like, I get it. He's trying to tell people that, this is not something that surrounds him. In other words, we can do big venues at home and not have problems. Don't believe what you see there. And my thing is this. Dirk needs to understand that it ain't got nothing to do with the truth. Once you book that concert, you create the environment for any old body to now insert what it is that is expected for their own agenda and their own benefit. It's the same reason why Kai Cenat shouldn't have did what he did in New York, asking everybody to come down to Times Square. Because now you invite the chaos creators, as well as the possibility of things organically going wrong, into the equation. Now, oh my God, anybody who wants to sabotage you can just go down there during the same time you got this going on and create the chaos that otherwise we see. And the same for the Dirt concert. Now you open the door for the possibility of people who want to affect whether or not hip-hop artists are able to have these big venues, to whether or not they could pay them a certain price, to affect the venue's price and how much security is supposed to cost. It's a lot of different things that can be affected by some event like this going this way. And you open the door for it to look like it's all you or something that surrounds you just by agreeing to do the venue. It wasn't the way to go. It wasn't the one. It just wasn't the one. Obviously, he's at the height of his career. Clearly, he wants to perform at home. And clearly, he's not concerned about his own conflicts and the things that he lives with in regards to his own personal whatever it may be. But that has nothing to do with whether or not someone could sabotage your money in this way. Maybe you're not afraid of the ops coming to assassinate you on stage. Okay, that's not a fear. Okay, you got the security to take care of that. But you got the ability to keep those who can benefit from sabotaging the concert from doing so. Absolutely not, because you never no idea who those people are or where they're coming from. And that is the problem. People got to understand the environments they create for their own situations to get sabotaged. You got to cover your backside, just like everybody's ever told me in regards to every job I've ever had. Cover your backside in life. Don't open the door to look as if things can be as bad as they are. When you let the door open for things to take place, they can. I mean, they really can. It's what environment are you creating? Not whether or not things are going to go exactly the way people are most worried about, but whether or not someone will literally make it so. Make it so. That's what I'm trying to express. So I don't know, man. People use the word Antifa. I don't know nothing about the secret society nonsense. I'm just speaking to people who love to come into situations and disturb them in the midst of things appearing a certain way. You know, it's a scenario I've seen many times. Many times. When a group of people, you know, have a certain circumstance that they're together, and then a new person comes into the equation. Now, whoever has been in that group who's wanted to do certain things and never saw an opportunity to do them can now maybe insert the opportunity to do those things and then blame the new person. It's the same type of thing. You just don't understand how people can take advantage of circumstances like that. So if you initiate the new person scenario in this application of thought, when you put forth the opportunity for someone to have something to blame so that they can do some nonsense, you best believe they're going to do that. Best believe they're going to do that, especially right now, where the internet is so, you know, it's all over the place. It's pointing in different directions, sending people in various different directions. And you just got to understand, as we always talk about that middleman, you got to understand the scenario where it doesn't necessarily have to be the middleman all the time. I'm not telling you that every time something like this happens, it's always some third party. No, I'm just saying you leave room for now both. Organically, things happen the way that it conventionally could, and opportunists walking in and saying, yo, here's our opportunity, it's our chance, let's go. Let's jump in here and create the chaos we need to get what we need. And a lot of times, those angles are above what it is you're looking at, which is why you're not worried about it in a lot of these cases. You know what I mean? You cover all your bases to assure that you're not the reason something happens. Fine. But it still takes place. You still look like you're to blame. Can you protect against that? And if not, then maybe you shouldn't create that environment. Maybe you shouldn't take on that opportunity. If you can't control both that and what it is you need to control to ensure things don't go bad for your reason, on your behalf. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I think people, I don't know who whose best interest in mind in certain situations, what people think they can control, again, what we can do with our security budget. If for some reason the ops decide they want to try to do something, maybe we had it under control. But in situations like this, where someone wants to shoot up the venue and now they're going to tell you that they don't want you to perform such and such places. Now they don't want hip hop to even have concerts, period, in certain situations, because all of y'all going to have these issues all the time. That's really what an event like this is. That's what this can do for the opportunists who want that agenda. They can come in here, murk the situation up, and then come back to people they're negotiating with in regards to that, saying, keep them out. Book our artists. Book our people on these dates that you're giving these hip-hop guys. Those hip-hop guys don't need no more tour money, because Lord knows you guys ain't making no money any other way. The music ain't selling like that for most of these guys, so they have to do the tour stuff. And for those of y'all who are big enough to do the big venues, they don't want y'all in there. Why? Because a lot of times you do bring these elements. So what is an opportunist who's scared about those circumstances ruining his situation can do? He's going to send his own people in when you do have a situation like that to murk it up. Maybe have a couple of his own guys shoot a couple shots off to scare people. Just enough to say, yo, this is what happens when these guys come in. We don't want them here. Let's not do this anymore. That's all it takes. You know what I'm saying? And they can look back at you and say, see, this is the element. This is what we were worried about. You thought you said you could. You and your people said you could do something about this. You couldn't. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm saying that's the environment for which one thing can be possible. That's one scenario where a person's interest is met by something like this occurring. And then they can make it look like, hey, nothing to do with it. You know, blame Dirk. Blame the environment. Blame the circumstances. Blame all that other stuff. But do not don't bring him back. Don't bring him or any of his hip hop people back to our venue. We only want others. And that's what ends up happening. We keep losing the bag. We keep the the opportunities at our folks continuing to get closer and closer to where we need to be wealth-wise, stays further and further apart. They can regulate ways to keep us from getting these big bags that we ultimately been getting these last 2 decades, you guys. Hip-hop, sports. You know, they're saturating y'all out. And I hope you know when I'm talking about black people. But it is what it is, man. I don't know if that's what's going on. It could, like I said, it could have been a very organic situation. It could have very well been, this is Chicago. When you bring everybody in Chicago together in one place, people don't see the people that they don't want to see anymore. Or like I said, are their ops, so to speak, and that'll be it. Then you have a problem. And when it's in an environment where there's so much murder, so much, it ain't a situation where people are gonna wait till later to, to handle their business. They're gonna advance in the situation right there, right then and there, with their emotions intact and with the worst outcome in mind. And so that's why it just seemed like a very bad concert to book. Even a year ago when we were talking about it, I was like, oh, this is bad. This is bad because sabotage is pretty much what you would expect. Somebody's gonna either come in on the opposite end of Dirk's circumstance and say, let's bully this up for him, let's mess this up for him, or let's try to attack him. You know what I mean? Just out of the nature of whatever conflict may be in place, and the hate, whatever may be in place. So that's one reason why you don't book this. And another reason is just simply because you do find yourself in a situation where if something like this occurs, now you see the backlash that comes from it for not only Dirk, but likely the entire culture. And maybe several other cultures too, where they think violence could possibly take place. They won't book you either. And so that's what it is, man. I don't know, man. I never want to be the guy that rules out anything. I always jump to some conspiracy nonsense, and I always tell people that nonsense could be just that. I don't know nothing. And I've been wrong a lot in the past about certain things where I thought things were a certain way, and then my spidey senses told me otherwise. And that's just, or rather, the truth told me otherwise. So it is what it is. I just speculate. And I hope that those who watch what I do understand it. I mean, the best for him, for mankind, and for the environment around us when I speak. So I hope that that trickles into us understanding that. Um, my hope is that through the prayers that I pray for people like Dirk, of whom I pray for a lot, uh, the wisdom from what it is that I hope to gain can find a way to be the case when it comes out of my mouth. So that wisdom that I want to share with y'all is what I pray to receive. So that's what I'm here to say, man. I don't know. I think RICO cases could be falling for a lot of people in that area, man. I've been listening to what others have been talking about, and as I've been telling people since the beginning of these RICO conversations on this channel about how I think they're trying to move it west. That is literally what you're seeing. And I tell everybody who lives in the area I live in, this is where the final match is as it pertains to those who want to work their way across the country with this RICO application process. They're here to make money, man. The prison business is a very lucrative one, and it's an untapped potential business because there's still a lot of bodies out here doing a lot of stuff they ain't got no business doing that they could lock up and get a lot of money for. And I'm telling you, this RICO thing allows for them they don't have to keep doing little cases, to keep picking little guys and doing all this damn paperwork for each and every one of y'all, try to web all this together. Nah, you know him, you know you, you know him, you know you. All of y'all get in the can, bro. All of y'all. And so what I'm telling you is they're moving that bull crap west. And all of my West Coast people who've been long affiliated for 100 years, please be ready. Please be ready for what it is I'm telling you. They want every one of y'all. Every one of y'all, bro. I feel it in my soul. They want to put millions of people in jail at once, bro. For money. For money. And I'm telling y'all, this is where, when you're trying to test little stuff, you know how people say, we're testing our bomb over here, they're testing their bombs over there, but not really, because it could be a UFO, or they're testing things out so that it could be used on the real thing. When it comes to gang culture, LA's the real thing in this country. It's the real thing. In Chicago, Atlanta, New York, all of those places, they watched what we were doing in the 60s and 70s and gained their understanding of how to move that way. They want to take back this area. It's too lucrative, and it's not enough control here based on the politics of the circumstances, and they don't want what's going on underneath this country to move upwards. And that's what the politics they're concerned with. They're gonna start dealing with worse. And so this is just my speculation. I think what they want to do before that is get that RICO thing going and get a lot of these people into the can to kill two birds with one stone, get the money off of them and clean up the politics so that they can swoop in and have their way a lot more fluidly than they're able to right now. So I notice there's no other place in the whole world that works like Los Angeles as it pertains to its agreement to its politics on the streets, and they want it cleared out. I've known this my entire life. They want it cleared out. It ain't because of the violence they want to stop the violence. No, they want to stop the agreements that are in place that complicates this very, very, very lucrative and sunshiny place. And you can't find weather like this too many places in the world. And so they want the rich people in, they want to move technology in, and they want the politics of street stuff that's been going on since the 60s. They want that out of here. And so they're going to try to put every last one of y'all in jail. I know what I'm talking about. I feel it in my soul. I've been praying about it a lot, and I'm watching what they're doing. They're moving RICO west, and they're testing it all the way here. Yeah, I want people to understand. I'm pushing fear as it pertains to. I think they're going to lock a lot of black and brown people up at once, man. Over a course of probably 6 years. Over the course of 6 years, they're going to be doing so many damn RICO cases all across this damn country. I'm telling you. And so I don't know what this means for people. I don't know what this means. A lot of people are okay with being on the inside, but they got to know why you're in there. You're not in there to clean up the streets, bro. You're in there because it's a dollar attached to their wealth. You represent that. That's it, bro. You are cattle. They don't care what you do. They're doing worse. So that's what I'm saying. This ain't what you think. Streets is a myth, all that. You start seeing the media and all that turning on street codes, street guys jumping into the media and turning on street code. It's because the whole thing is already done. It's done. It's already done. Everybody who knows. It's over, man. It's over. It's been over. And so that's what I want to tell people. I've never gangbanged a day in my life. I never have. If I were, I would claim it. I would tell all of y'all whatever I need to, or keep everything that I need to keep to you guys from it. I would do whatever I need to do to be who I need to be, but I'm telling y'all that's not who I am. I got lucky in that way. That's really what it comes down to. I got lucky in that way. And look, I hope I'm wrong. I would love to stage poorly. I'd love for them to just not. But it's only gonna go one way. It's only gonna go one way. You can see what they're doing. So there's a big push from within the hip hop community to end RICO. I don't know why. I don't know how we can appeal to this, to any sense of that. I just don't know how you're gonna win people over in that one. Because at the end of the day, you're cleaning up people who are perceived to be doing the worst things in the streets of this country. So, in the presence of them being locked up, you understand that it is definitely perceived as people are going to be safer from day to day. So, this is the problem with trying to attack what this looks like. In defense of what? And so that's the point. It's the culture within the people that has to change so they can be more deserving of not being entrapped in this conundrum. And until you make the choice to not be whatever it is that you are out there, you're going to always be susceptible to being wrapped up in what it is that I'm talking about right here. It just is what it is. No, people who don't engage in that stuff likely won't have to deal with that stuff. No, that's just what it is, whether you're trapped in it or not. There's a lot of people who are trapped in there, but there's a lot of people who have opportunity to get the hell out of these circumstances. Time to get out. I'm telling you, man. Look, I'm a civilian, so no one's going to listen to me. I don't expect anybody to listen to me. But I do expect, for what I'm saying, to age well, unfortunately. You just can't expect they're ever going to let y'all out. Can't expect it. And so that's my concern, man. All these prisons are overpacked, but they can certainly build more. And I'm certain they will. With all the money that they're getting from these RICO cases, they got a bigger budget than they've ever had, I'm sure. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They'll probably build prisons all in the middle of the country to send all these people on the ends of the country to those prisons. I hope I'm not manifesting all this, because it's certainly not my intention. But it's just what I think is coming, man. It's what I think is coming. You know, one thing that I'm understanding, I'm listening to various countries, ours in Canada, is population management control circumstances. People need to be able to live, and there's not enough affordable homes for all the people that are there. They can always use that excuse to do stuff like this here, what we're talking about. Always use that excuse. To round a bunch of immigrants up and send them elsewhere, to round a bunch of citizens up and send them inside. So I'm just telling y'all, man, while people are trying to get their bag, I don't know, if the wealth that you're getting can't be passed to your children, is it really actually the wealth that you want? Is what I tell people. If you're getting a bag that you know that you're going to likely have to give back for whatever reason, you're missing the point of what it is that wealth building is supposed to be about. You missed the point. It's not about balling. It's not about just getting a momentary opportunity to get what'll make your life good. It's about creating a foundation for everything that goes on in your life and anyone that's to come after you. Or whatever it is that your legacy would be if you were to be leaving anything behind. But a lot of people don't care for what happens in the thereafter. So therefore, those who do, in this case, I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but a lot of people who are on high, who have that in mind, can manipulate what it is that ultimately will affect that for those people, because they don't care nothing about it. It's not on their forefront. So they get to continue with generational strength, massive, massive amounts of wealth to pass on to others to rig the game against future generations as they see fit, because of the lack of, you know, forward thinking that a lot of people have when they're building their wealth. I'm gonna do bad, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna break this law, I'm gonna work my way the wrong way, and then from there, when I get caught, it goes back to the government. When I get caught, it doesn't get passed to my kids. When I get caught, it goes out of our control. If that's the bag I'm signing up for, it's not really a bag at all. It's a loan. It's a loan that you're going to pay back likely with your life. Why would you sign up for that? And so because people are signing up for that, some evil such as this, what we've been discussing, now can be manifested from that. Like, now the evil that otherwise wouldn't even be in place to create hell for you is now manifested from what it is that you choose in wrongdoing. And leading others toward wrongdoing for financial gain that doesn't even remain. How does this make sense to us? I'm telling y'all, man, I start to think that culture is hypnosis. Culture is hypnosis because it won't allow us to see the clarity of protecting ourselves, even though we spend the majority of our times trying to protect ourselves in other areas every day. Put on your seatbelt so you don't go flying out your windshield, but then you stuff your face with food that's likely going to give you a heart attack. Make it make sense. You never will. Never will. In some areas, we want to protect our kids. In other areas, we create environments that will make life much harder for them. Care nothing about tomorrow in regards to what we're doing with our money, so we leave them nothing tomorrow. And they struggle and they have to make these same decisions with no wisdom attached because we ain't teach them none. How are you protecting them? These are things that I think about when I have these conversations about stuff that have nothing to do with this, because at the end of the day, this needs to be on our minds. Whether we're assessing things properly or not, we need to have these pointers in place so that we ain't letting those who would otherwise continue to build against us or in favor of themselves, however we may fall in that situation. We just got to stop allowing them to continue to build bricks from our yard. And this is how we allow it to happen, by way of things we should not want. Allowing ourselves and our ambition to create environments that do not help us. And the first thing we do when it looks like the fire is about to flame up because of the decisions we made, we get on our knees and call for God. Well, God is trying to tell you how to fix these problems before you even start praying. It's by not even allowing yourself to fall victim to those wants that ultimately create those opportunities for those who want to see you suffer and want to stand on your backs to do so. It's high time people of color and people who don't have a lot to start thinking about how they can put themselves in a position to not welcome their own destruction by way of these cultures that we agreed upon that have been heavily invested in. How many times have I said this? And as long as we were looking to push these messages that don't mean us no good, it can be people who take advantage of that karma for which we deserve and use it against us and everything that matters to us the most. We said that. I know I've said this more than once. There's no exception to this. When we say you can't serve two gods, this is not a religious conversation. This is about wanting to be able to get good results while still wanting to do things that don't help. No, you can't push evil out of your music, push destruction into the world. Proclaim a certain unwillingness to let things go with people who have already crossed over. And then expect when you try to do things for them to work out. Just things, bro. Let's throw a concert issue. No, it's gonna go left, because what it is that your message is ultimately, it's about death. So when it's time for the manipulators and the opportunists to step in and do weird on your behalf, you've created the environment for that by dreaming up the things you were dreaming in the first place. It's time to turn ourselves away from our evil ways, not only because of ethics, but because we gotta stop feeding those who benefit from such. That's my word. That's what my message is to the world when I speak. For the majority of the time I speak, there are other things that you must guard against as well. This is just what the Lord allows me to see and focus on. But please believe there's so much more than I don't see, and we need other people to speak on that if it comes to you organically. So that's the example I want to be. And look, I don't always have it together. Sometimes I push out the wrong stuff. But what I don't want to push out is destruction. What I don't want to push out is unwillingness to allow happiness into my own heart. By not allowing forgiveness to come in, by not allowing myself to say, yo, I'm tripping here. Let me turn away from my ways, yo. I want this, but it's probably gonna bring me and people that I care about to a worse space. So let me just go ahead and let that sit there and go over here away from it. We ain't doing that enough in this life. Everybody wants what they want, and that's it. Don't give a damn what happens until after the fact, and they learn their lessons, and they sad, and they sorry. You can stop all that, Nah, be sorry now before it happens, and don't do it. Don't allow it to happen. You want to pray them prayers when things go bad? Pray them prayers when you're wondering if whether or not you should be doing bad against somebody else, and then don't do it. Allow that prayer to keep you from freaking doing it. A lot of people are roped up in circumstances, obviously relevant to what we're talking about. They don't have that ability. Bad is going to be bad regardless. I don't know what to tell those people. I can't help them other than to say, people need to make that decision that we've been talking about for you so that you're not roped up into that circumstance. This is why they're necessary to sacrifice, so that you don't find yourself in that hole. They're supposed to be doing that work for you, unfortunately. And a lot of them aren't strong enough to do it. Hopefully we can be. So that's really what I got to say, man. You know how my mind goes. I start off on one topic and go all the way to the end, but I've run out of space here. Only got about 35 seconds left to speak, so I'm going to sign out. But I want people to understand. I really do pray for a lot of the people that I talk about on this channel. Dirk has been on that list for over 3 years. Since D-Thing passed away, I've been praying for that dude. But a lot of what it is that his messages have been about, it's been a lot of death to that, man. And so people got to understand what they engage in and what they allow for, what they allow the enemy to do in their lives when they engage in certain nonsense. BDF 44, I thank you all for watching.